For a second, I thought it was a trick of the fog. The highway was a thin ribbon of asphalt cutting through wetlands and pine forest, 40 miles from the nearest town. No streetlights, no houses, just guardrails slick with condensation and the faint reflective eyes of road signs blinking in and out of the mist. The world beyond my windshield existed only in gradients of gray. My engine hummed steadily beneath me, a low, reassuring vibration through the steering wheel. The heater pushed lukewarm air against my shins. Everything felt contained inside the car, insulated from the cold damp pressing at the glass. Then the glow appeared ahead. At first, I assumed it was a vehicle cresting the slight hill before me. Two beams cut through the fog, but they were wrong. They were too low, too close together. And they weren't flaring outward the way headlights should when facing me. They were focused, directional, pointed away. The car emerged from the haze as it passed on my left. Its rear was facing me, and from the back of it, two brilliant white headlights shone forward into the fog, projecting into the direction it had come from. I caught only a brief impression. A dark sedan, older model. Glossy black paint reflecting my own headlights in warped streaks. The red taillights, if they were taillights, were at the front, glowing dimly like tired eyes as it slipped past. No engine noise, no tire hiss, just the soft displacement of fog. I twisted in my seat, craning to watch it in my rearview mirror. In the mirror, it looked normal. Red taillights, white headlights in front, perfectly ordinary. My breath fogged the inside of the glass. I wiped it away with my sleeve, heart climbing into my throat. The radio, which had been murmuring low-talk static from a distant AM station, crackled violently. The sound collapsed into a long, wet hiss, then silence, not even static, as if the air itself had stopped carrying signal. I told myself it was fatigue. I'd been driving for hours. Too many late nights lately. Too many memories creeping in when the road grew monotonous. But as the sedan shrank ahead of me in the mirror, something twisted in my stomach. It wasn't shrinking. It was maintaining distance. Perfectly. I was doing 70. The needle hadn't moved. I eased off the gas. The hum of the engine softened. The sedan's shape in my mirror did not change. Prickle crept up my arms. Without fully deciding to, I pressed down on the accelerator. The engine responded with a deeper growl. My headlights brightened against the fog as my speed climbed past 80. In the mirror, the sedan grew larger. It wasn't pulling away. It was getting closer. The temperature inside the car dropped abruptly, as if someone had cracked a window. I checked. Everything was sealed. My breath thickened in front of me. The dashboard clock flickered, digits dimming and brightening. 12:17, 12:17, 12:17. I blinked. The sedan's license plate became visible as it neared. The white rectangle caught my headlights in a reflective flash. The characters were reversed, not scrambled, mirrored. Each letter and number flipped as if seen through glass. My pulse thudded painfully in my ears. The fog along the roadside began to behave strangely. Instead of drifting aimlessly, it bent toward the highway, curling inward like ribs closing around a spine. The shadows of trees stretched across the asphalt at impossible angles, as though drawn toward the space between my car and the one behind me. I could feel it now, the silence. No wind buffeting the chassis, no distant insects. Even the hum of my engine seemed dampened, swallowed by something thick and invisible pressing in from all sides. The sedan edged closer. Through the distortion of my rearview mirror, I could see the driver, or the shape of one, a silhouette sitting rigidly upright, hands on the wheel, but the posture was wrong. The shoulders angled too sharply, the head tilted slightly too far forward, as if the neck were hinged backward. And the face wasn't facing me. It was facing forward, toward me, as if the entire interior of that car had been reversed. My stomach dropped with sudden, nauseating recognition. 3 years ago, this same stretch of road, same fog, same suffocating quiet. I had been the one driving too fast. There had been another car, headlights behind me, impatient, too close. I remembered glancing into my mirror. I remembered the flash of white light. I remembered the sound. Metal collapsing inward like a crushed soda can. I had told the police I never saw the other vehicle, that it must have swerved, that it was an accident born of bad visibility. They never found the driver's body. The sedan behind me flickered. For a split second, its headlights, white and blinding, shone from the back again, stabbing into the fog behind it. And in that flare of light, I saw something on the road between us. Debris, twisted metal, a car facing the wrong direction. My car. The steering wheel vibrated violently in my hands. The speedometer needle quivered, then began ticking backward. 80, 79, 78. But I wasn't decelerating. The engine's pitch remained high. The road beneath me streaked past at the same frantic pace. Time was reversing. The fog thickened until it felt solid. The sedan surged forward, impossibly, until it filled my windshield, though it was still behind me. Its headlights burned through my rear window, searing white across the interior. I slammed on the brakes. The world inverted. For a heartbeat, I was looking at the highway through my back window. The steering wheel jerked in my hands, but it felt wrong, angled away from me. My body pressed not into the seat, but against the seatbelt from the opposite direction. The dashboard clock blinked. 12:16, 12:15, 12:14. The radio shrieked to life, not with static, but with my own voice. I didn't see him. I swear, I didn't see him. The recording looped, warping lower each time. Ahead, behind, everywhere, the other sedan idled, suspended in fog. Its rear lights glowed white. Its front lights glowed red. And in its windshield, I saw myself, hands tight on the wheel, eyes wide, driving straight toward a pair of headlights shining from the wrong end of a car. Understanding crashed into me with cold certainty. It hadn't passed me. I had passed it. 3 years ago. And every year since, on this same night, on this same road, I was meeting it again just before impact. The loop didn't begin with the crash. It began with the impossible sight. The warning I ignored. The sedan's headlights flared blindingly bright. The fog peeled back in violent spirals. The shadows of trees bent inward like claws closing. The last thing I saw before the white swallowed everything was my own reflection in the other driver's seat, looking back at me. Then metal screamed. And somewhere far ahead, behind, a car passed me going the opposite direction, its headlights shining from the back. Rain came down in silver sheets so dense it felt like I was driving underwater. My headlights carved 2 trembling tunnels through it, beams fracturing against the downpour and shattering across the wet pavement. Every painted line on the road doubled itself in reflection, as if another highway ran directly beneath mine. I had taken County Route 19 to avoid traffic after the interstate closed. At least, that's what my GPS had told me an hour earlier, before it froze mid-sentence and the screen went black. Now there was nothing but forest on both sides. No houses, no guardrails, just a narrow 2-lane highway threading through trees that pressed too close, their branches bowing under the weight of rain. The wipers beat a steady rhythm. Thump, swipe, thump, swipe. Then they slowed. Not mechanically, rhythmically, as if matching something else. The engine hummed beneath me, a low vibration through the steering column. I focused on it to keep my nerves steady. The sound felt human compared to the vast wet silence outside. That was when I saw the mile marker. It stood crooked on the right shoulder, half swallowed by tall grass. My headlights caught it in a pale flash as I passed. White reflective paint over green metal. Mile 182. I frowned. Route 19 only ran 80 miles end to end. I checked before leaving. I remembered tracing it with my finger on the map, noting where it merged back into civilization. In my rearview mirror, the sign's reflective surface flared once, then vanished into rain. I told myself it was an old marker from another road, maybe repurposed. 5 minutes later, another one appeared. Mile 183. My stomach tightened. The rain intensified, hammering against the roof so loudly it drowned out the engine. The headlights flickered, not fully dying, just dimming in pulses, like a slow blink. The forest felt closer now. The trees leaned inward, their trunks elongated by the distortions of water running down my windshield. Reflections from the road shimmered upward, bending the world into something fluid and unstable. The next sign read mile 184. The numbers were crisp, new. The metal pole gleamed despite the weather. I checked the odometer. It hadn't moved. I'd been driving for at least 15 minutes since the first sign. The needle should have shifted. Instead, it held steady, as if the car were idling. But the scenery changed, or seemed to. A fallen tree appeared on the left shoulder, its bark stripped pale by rain. I passed it. 10 minutes later, I passed it again. Same split trunk. Same crooked branch jutting toward the road like a broken finger. The silence inside the car deepened. The rain still fell, but it sounded distant now, muffled, as though layered behind thick glass. Even the wipers lost their rhythm, smearing arcs of water that never quite cleared. Mile 190. The numbers climbed. With each marker, the air inside the car grew colder. My breath fogged the windshield from the inside. I turned up the heat. Nothing changed. The radio clicked on by itself. Static flooded the cabin. Not white noise. Layered murmurs, overlapping voices just beneath comprehension. I reached to turn it off. The knob twisted uselessly. Between bursts of static, I heard something familiar. My name, softly spoken. The rain thinned abruptly, tapering to a mist. The headlights steadied, illuminating a stretch of road so straight it seemed artificial, like a rendering not fully loaded. Ahead stood another mile marker. It was taller than the others, thicker, placed directly in the center of the lane. I slowed instinctively, tires hissing over wet pavement. The reflection of my headlights climbed the metal face of the sign, revealing the number slowly from bottom to top. Mile 200. There was number 200. Route 19 didn't reach 200. The map in my glove compartment rustled. I hadn't touched it. The compartment door eased open with a soft click. Paper slid out, fluttering onto the passenger seat. I glanced over. It wasn't the road map. It was a photograph. The edges were water-warped, though it was dry inside the car. It showed this highway. Daytime. Clear skies. A younger version of me stood beside a crumpled sedan at the shoulder. Police lights blurred red and blue in the background. I remembered the accident in fragments. A late-night drive. A fight on the phone. Rain starting suddenly. Headlights too close behind me. I had swerved. There had been another car. They said the other driver went through the guardrail into the ravine. They never recovered him. I swallowed hard and looked back at the road. The sign in the center of the lane was gone. In its place stood mile 201 on the shoulder. Then mile 202. The numbers increased faster now, appearing closer together. 203. 204. 205. The forest thinned into open land, but it wasn't fields, it was emptiness. A dark expanse with no texture, as if the world beyond the asphalt hadn't been built. The road surface changed. The blacktop looked older, cracked, glistening not with rain but with something darker. The yellow center line wavered, occasionally doubling into two parallel lines before snapping back to one. I passed a sign that read Route 19. In the rearview mirror, it read 91 ETUOR. The mile markers began displaying numbers that climbed impossibly fast. Mile 260. Mile 340. Mile 512. Each one clean and official, as if sanctioned by some unseen authority. The engine's hum lowered to a growl that didn't match my speed. The speedometer needle trembled at 0. Yet the world streamed toward me. The rain stopped entirely. The sky overhead was not black but blank, colorless, depthless. Mile 999. I didn't slow. Couldn't. The steering wheel felt locked in place. The road narrowed, the edges dissolving into the same empty dark that swallowed the landscape. Then came the final sign. It stood directly ahead, spanning the width of the highway like an overhead gantry. No reflective paint, no state emblem, just a single number carved deeply into metal. Mile 0. The road ended beyond it. Not in a cliff, not in a barrier. In a parking lot. Floodlights buzzed overhead, casting a sterile white glow. The rain returned only within the boundary of the lot, falling in a perfect square. In the center sat a lone building I recognized instantly. County Memorial Hospital. But this hospital had closed 10 years ago after the foundation collapsed into a sinkhole. I knew because I had been there the night of the accident. They'd brought me in first. Concussion. Minor injuries. I'd asked about the other driver. The nurse avoided my eyes. In the parking lot ahead, beneath the buzzing lights, an ambulance idled. Its back doors stood open. The number 200 was painted on its side. Not the vehicle number. The mile. My headlights dimmed until the world was gray and humming. The hospital entrance doors slid open slowly. Inside, the waiting room lights flickered in a pattern that matched the rhythm of my windshield wipers. Thump, swipe, thump, swipe. A figure stood just beyond the threshold. Water pooled at his feet, though the floor was dry. He looked exactly as he had in the photograph, except older, eyes hollow, patient, as if he had been waiting for me to reach the end of the road. Understanding settled over me with cold clarity. The mile markers weren't counting distance. They were counting attempts. Every year, on the anniversary of the crash, I chose the same detour. Every year, the road extended a little farther, learning me, measuring me, until it led me back here. To him, the engine cut out. The doors unlocked on their own. And as I stepped into the rain that fell only within the boundaries of that impossible lot, I noticed a new sign rising slowly from the asphalt behind my car. Mile 201. Waiting for the next time I tried to leave.